Zacchaeus lived in Jericho, a beautiful city with trade routes and constant movement. Merchants traveled through with their goods, money flowed in and out, and life was busy. To outsiders, Jericho looked like a place of success and opportunity. But for Zacchaeus, Jericho was both a home and a prison. He was the most hated man in the city. Zacchaeus had a job that made him very unpopular. He was the chief tax collector. That meant he wasn't just collecting taxes for the Roman Empire, he was the boss of the tax collectors. The Romans were the occupying power, and most Jews hated them. So anyone working for them, especially handling money, was seen as a traitor. But Zacchaeus didn't stop there. Like many tax collectors of the time, he got rich by taking more money than required and keeping the extra for himself. Over time, his pockets grew heavier, but his reputation sank lower. Imagine walking down the street and hearing people whispering about you. Imagine doors closing as you passed by. Imagine mothers pulling their children closer so they wouldn't have to greet you. Have you ever been in a crowd and still felt completely invisible? That's what life was like for a man named Zacchaeus. That was Zacchaeus' daily reality. On the outside, he was successful. He had a fine house, expensive clothes, gold coins clinking in his money bags. But on the inside, he was empty. No real friends. No one who trusted him. Just a man surrounded by wealth but starving for acceptance. And to make matters worse, Zacchaeus was a small man. Physically short in stature. In a crowd, he could hardly see above the shoulders of others. So not only was he rejected socially, but he also lived with this constant reminder of being looked down on, literally and figuratively. Zacchaeus' story isn't just about him. It's about all of us who, at one time or another, have felt unseen, unworthy, or stuck in mistakes we wish we could undo. He had everything money could buy. But none of the things the heart longs for: love, respect, peace. And deep inside, he carried a small flame. A longing. A question: is this really all there is? News began to spread in Jericho. Whispers turned into shouts. Crowds started to gather. Jesus of Nazareth was coming through town. People had heard the stories. This was no ordinary teacher. This was the man who healed blind eyes, raised the dead, calmed storms with just his words. But even more than his miracles, it was how he treated people. He touched lepers when no one else would. He spoke kindly to women and children when society pushed them aside. He ate with fishermen, outcasts, and even other tax collectors. Zacchaeus had heard these stories too. And something inside him stirred. He couldn't explain it, but it was as if his heart was hungry. Hungry for more than money, more than status. Hungry to be seen, not for his failures, not for his reputation, but for who he really was inside. So, when Jesus came near, Zacchaeus felt an urgency he couldn't ignore. He left his house, pushed into the crowded streets, and tried to catch a glimpse. But it was impossible. The crowd was too big, and he was too short. People blocked his view. And even if he tried to squeeze in, the glares and muttered insults reminded him that he didn't belong. Now, at this moment, Zacchaeus had a choice. He could have given up. He could have said, "This isn't worth it. I'll just stay home." But something stronger pulled at him. Desperation has a way of making us brave. And then he saw it, a sycamore fig tree growing near the road where Jesus would pass by. Its branches stretched out wide, low enough for him to climb. Without a second thought, Zacchaeus did something no wealthy, dignified man would normally do. He ran ahead, grabbed onto the trunk, and began climbing. His expensive robes snagged on the bark. His gold rings made his hands clumsy. But he didn't care. For once, pride didn't matter. Can you picture it? The chief tax collector, the rich man everyone despised, scrambling up a tree like an eager child just to see Jesus. From up there, he could finally see over the crowd. His heart pounded. And in that moment, something shifted. For once, he wasn't hiding behind his wealth or his position. He was simply a man searching for hope. Then it happened. Jesus stopped. Right at that spot. Right under the tree. The crowd hushed, curious about what he would do. And then Jesus looked up. He didn't glance. He didn't just notice someone in a tree. He looked straight at Zacchaeus. The one everyone ignored. The one everyone despised. And with a smile, Jesus called him by name. Zacchaeus, come down quickly. I must stay at your house today. Can you imagine the shock? Zacchaeus froze. Jesus not only saw him, he knew his name. Out of the entire crowd, Jesus chose him. The people gasped. Murmurs spread like wildfire. Why him? Doesn't Jesus know what kind of man that is? A sinner. A thief. But Jesus wasn't interested in their opinions. He was interested in Zacchaeus' heart. And Zacchaeus, he didn't hesitate. He nearly stumbled out of the tree in his rush to obey. His pride, his shame, his fear, all of it melted away in that one moment of being chosen. Jesus, the one everyone wanted to see, wanted him. Zacchaeus welcomed Jesus into his home with joy. The house that once echoed with loneliness now rang with laughter and light. The same halls that once carried the sound of coins being counted now held the voice of the Savior. And something incredible happened inside Zacchaeus. The man who once lived for wealth now wanted to give it away. Standing in front of Jesus, he declared, "Lord, I will give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anyone, I will pay them back 4 times as much." This wasn't just about money. This was about transformation. Zacchaeus' heart, once hardened by greed, had been softened by grace. He didn't need to be forced. He didn't need to be shamed. His change came naturally because he had truly encountered love. And Jesus responded with words that still echo through history. "Today, salvation has come to this house." That moment wasn't just about Zacchaeus' past being forgiven. It was about his future being rewritten. The man who was once an outcast became an example of restoration. The man no one wanted to see became the one Jesus chose to lift up. And here's the lesson for us: no one is too far gone. No mistake is too big. No life is too broken for Jesus to restore. Like Zacchaeus, we may feel unseen, unloved, or trapped by our own wrong choices. But Jesus still stops, looks up, and calls us by name. The story of Zacchaeus reminds us that grace doesn't wait until we have it all together. Grace meets us right where we are, sometimes even up in a tree, and invites us into a brand new life. So, if you've ever felt invisible, remember this: Jesus sees you. If you've ever felt unworthy, remember this: He calls you by name. And if you've ever wondered if your story can change, remember Zacchaeus, because with Jesus, every ending can become a new beginning. Friends, maybe today you feel a bit like Zacchaeus. Maybe you've chased success but still feel empty. Or maybe you've made choices that left you isolated from others. The good news is, you don't have to stay there. Jesus is still calling. He still knows your name. He still wants to come into your life, not to condemn you, but to bring healing, purpose, and joy. So let Zacchaeus' story be a reminder: when you open your heart to Jesus, your house, your life, will never be the same.